Hi, it's Leanne, and I'm here today with my review of my fourth book of this year's Man Booker Longlist, and that is In Our Mad and Furious City by Gunaratne. Now, In Our Mad and Furious City takes place in noughties London. It starts with a murder that is very much based on the murder of Lee Rigby, which was who was a off-duty soldier who was killed in a terrorist attack. The soldier in this book is not Lee Rigby, but it's very, very similar. The murder sparks race riots in North London, which is where the book is set, and the novel follows 5 characters, 3 teenagers, 2 adults, all of whom have experience of immigration, either through being immigrants themselves or being the children of immigrants. The characters all live on this same estate in London, a very poor estate, pretty much a council estate, apart from one of the characters who lives nearby but is very close to people who live on the estate and spends a lot of time there. The characters, the 3 teenagers, they kind of all have their own dreams. They're trying to navigate life in London as a poor person, as children of immigrants, and just in dealing with teenage life in general. Now, the author of this book lived in North London. He grew up in North London, now lives in Sweden, I believe. So he has experienced this life as far as I'm aware, but it felt to me very inauthentic. It felt like a very stylized telling of this story. There are multi-narrators. The story is written especially by a couple of the characters, in North London dialect. So there are a lot of words that might not make sense, especially on first read, and you might have to go through, read it a few times in order to grasp the language. It felt cliched to me. It didn't feel like a fresh book. It felt like a book that I have read before, numerous times before, and I kept looking for it to do something that I didn't expect, and it never did that. The language in the book, like I say, it's very inspired by the characters themselves, especially the 3 teenage boys, and also by grime music. We get one of the characters in the book is fascinated by grime music. He would love to make a career of it himself, although it seems like without a push that's never really going to happen. You can tell the connection to this urban music through the book, because there are some parts of the book that do have a very good rhythm to them, and once you kind of start reading them, you get pulled along into it. But these elements are too few and far between. And the book also mentions quite a few songs from the UK urban scene, songs that I put on Spotify while I was listening to the book, which was a bad idea really, because the language of the book comes off quite badly in comparison. It seems so much less fresh and interesting than the music that it was clearly trying to emulate. It didn't offer me anything new in this kind of narrative. The story went exactly where I was expecting it to, and while I can see, I suppose, if you didn't know where it was going, it had the potential to be quite emotive, but because I knew what was going to happen, and I just never felt anything towards it. I've spent most of my life living in council estates, living near council estates, working in council estates. And I have to say, this doesn't feel like a book that anybody who lives in these areas will want to read. It feels like the kind of book that people who have no experience of this type of life will read and feel like they understand now the people who live here, who live in areas like the book in this story. And yet, to me, I didn't recognise any of it. And and I'm not saying, I live in Newcastle. It is the opposite end of the country to London. I obviously have no experience of life as an immigrant, as a person of colour, but none of this rang true to me. It just felt like it quite desperate in its telling, and it was a book that I was looking forward to reading, but like I say, so many people have said so many good things about it that I was thinking this was going to be something fresh to this, a novel about urban life that we have seen many, many times, and it didn't offer me anything like that. So this is very much a book that I hope does not make the shortlist. I don't think it deserves to. I've heard a lot of people talk about their which is it by Tommy Orange, which this has gotten a lot of comparisons to. I'd be interested to read that because I know there was some who felt that should have gotten a place on the long list, and I think I'm going to add that to my list to read as soon as I've finished all of my long list reading, in the hope that that offers me what this book didn't. So yeah, so disappointing, and just not a book that I would recommend. If you feel differently, please comment, and we can have a discussion about this. But yeah, to me, it wasn't successful in what it was trying to do. Okay, so that is book 4 down. I will be back soon with my review of book 5 in my reading, which will be Everything Under by Daisy Johnson. So I'll see you then. Bye bye.